Howard, you write around the shareholder meeting, 25 years in as a public company, you guys are planning to open 12,000 more stores globally by fiscal year 2021. But you say that we are in the early stages of growth. I mean, you still believe this company is, in some senses, in its infancy. What does that mean?
Well, if you look at our history as a company, not only our 25 years as a public company, but 40-plus years since we opened the first store in our Pike Place market, I don't think anyone could have possibly believed that in 1992, when we went public with about 150 stores, we'd have 26,000 today. I think the equity of the Starbucks brand, the universal acceptance of Starbucks all over the world, gives us opportunities that we haven't even begun to realize both inside and outside of our stores. And I think you can't discount our business in China. 2,600 stores in China, opening a store a day, the roastery opening in December. We've achieved something in China that's pretty unparalleled for a Western brand. And I've been on record saying I think China will be bigger than the business we now have in the U.S. So these are still early growth. When? Well, we'll have to see. But clearly the opportunity we have in front of us in China and what we've created gives us an unbelievable runway to growth and development. And I'm very bullish on the company as I say goodbye as the CEO because of Kevin's leadership. And, you know, one thing that's interesting is that it's one of the first years where the stock is not up year over year, but yet it's probably one of the strongest and most meaningful year in our history. And I think, candidly, the stock is undervalued. We play the long game, and I think our shareholders over the long term are going to be significantly rewarded for the investments we've made over the last couple of years and the growth and development and the pipeline of innovation that's going to come in the next months and years ahead.
All right, well, let's dig into that. You think the stock is undervalued. What do investors not see, Howard, that you're seeing? What are they missing then?
Well, it's not what they're missing. I think, you know, unfortunately, we live in an environment on Wall Street where it's a very short-term mentality, but conversely, we've always taken the long view. But if you invested $1,000 in the Starbucks IPO in 1992, that investment is now worth $180,000. So clearly, we've demonstrated market cap in 1992 of $250 million and a market cap today of well over $80 billion. There's no doubt in my mind that the growth and development and the appreciation of the stock at Starbucks over the future is going to be consistently higher than it is today. And as I said, I think the stock is undervalued. That's for Wall Street and the market to decide. But as someone so close to the company and obviously so personally involved, I've never been more proud and more optimistic about our future.
Kevin, and Poppy, I would just add that we're executing against a proven business model. And if you look over the last 5 years, we've returned $10 billion of cash to shareholders in the form of buybacks and dividends. This year, we're investing $1.6 billion of capital, much of that to build new stores that we know give us the economic return. And we're investing in the operating expenses to innovate around our food, beverage, digital, and in our partners. And so I think all of those things are signs that we're very bullish on the future of the company.
One thing that you're doing is doubling down on a few commitments in terms of jobs. You're doubling down in your commitment, Kevin, to hiring veterans and their families. And you're doubling down on your commitment to hire opportunity youth.
Well, first, let's start with veterans. It was about 4 years ago we made a commitment to hire 10,000 veterans or their spouses, as we had many servicemen and women returning to civilian life after serving our country for multiple tours of duty. And so we are reconfirming now to hire 25,000 veterans or their spouses by the year 2025. And that's about getting great talent into the company to help us continue to grow. Secondly, as you point out with Opportunity Youth, it was just a little over a year ago that we began our journey on Opportunity Youth, and we committed to hire 10,000 of these young people. And as you're aware, there's roughly 6 million young people between the ages of 18 and 24 years old who are not in school and not at work. And so by reaching out to these young people and providing them an on-ramp to a better life, they have turned out to be wonderful contributors to Starbucks as well. They're eager to learn, they want to contribute, they want to be a part of a team, and they've made a big difference for us. So we are now recommitting to hire 100,000 of these young people.
So, can I add one thing?
Sure.
As I've said many times, that since government has not done the job that perhaps it should have over these many years, businesses and business leaders need to do more for its people and more for the communities it serves. And this is a great example, I think, of us demonstrating the conscience and the benevolence of the company while continuing to perform at a very high level financially.
You guys have also made a commitment on that same note to hiring 10,000 refugees around the world by 2022. Howard, this is a commitment you made in writing in a letter right after President Trump's first travel ban. That executive order was signed, and you called it an unprecedented time. As you know, YouGov Brand Index did a survey, and they say that it hurt the company's reputation, that and there were a number of negative headlines that followed. Subsequently, you internally commissioned a study to be done. What did you find? Did that hurt the company's reputation?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because it gives us an opportunity to unequivocally, without question, say that the hiring of 10,000 refugees and anything that came out as a result of that has had zero impact on the equity of the brand, the performance of our business, and I'd say most importantly has made our partners and our customers proud of the compassion of the company. And I think when others try and kind of paint the picture that Starbucks is trying to be politically motivated, that is not the case at all. Our motivation is motivated by principle, by being values-based and by doing everything we can to be the kind of company that embraces compassion, empathy, and love.
But Howard, you can see how that move with refugees was seen by some as much more political than, say, the hiring of veteran or opportunity youth, because it was in direct response to the president's executive order. It did garner negative headlines, and I wonder if you think that it at all changes how Starbucks will operate moving forward. Will Starbucks stay silent on things that it may have spoken about before, just so that you don't get those headlines?
Well, I would say that we're not trying to make headlines, and we're certainly not trying to do anything that would be against the administration or be politically motivated. What we're trying to do from day one, and here we are today, is leading with moral courage and recognizing and demonstrating that leadership is not a passive act, and that we have to do everything we can to maintain the principles of the company.
And Kevin, to you,
Poppy, I would just add that.
Yeah.
I would just add that while some will try to politicize things that we do, for us this is not about politics. It's about principles, and it's about doing the right thing for our partners in the stores and serving them and creating opportunities for them so that they can better serve our customers. And I think it's being principled and values-based. It's not about politics.